Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Capricorn energy, and like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Capricorn, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn. We all have our dualistic nature of free will, and we have to make decisions in our life, and the bottom row can kind of just represent our comfort zone that we don't want to step out of, because that's kind of scary to do life a little differently. And the bottom row can represent some of the fears or insecurities or self-limiting beliefs or heartbreak or whatever that we've gone through. And it can be hard to detach from those things. I view high vibe Capricorn as the King of Pentacles, which in high vibe is about growing and healing and maturing yourself and being who you present yourself as being, not kind of wearing a false mask. And, you know, at different ages of life, we would expect that people have learned some lessons in life at those different stages of life. And some people go out in the world and present themselves as a King of Pentacles at whatever age they are. And then people realize that there are some lessons in life that most other people by that age have learned those lessons, and they haven't. So they could be more bossy, controlling, immature, prideful, egotistical, lazy, you know, but yet they try to present themselves like that's not the truth of who they are, but it is, you know. So, you know, just trying to learn these lessons as you go, not stay in denial of the truth. And it can be hard because we have people in our life that we have love for, that we did have love for, people in our family, people that we've known all our life, and we can have love for them and wish them the best, but kind of maybe feel we're not on the same page anyway. And maybe that our truth is different and our long-term goals are different. And with most of the people, that's okay. With the people in our life who we wanted them to keep moving forward with us, and we hope that some of the things that maybe we worked through, that they would have worked through, but everybody's got free will. So let's go look at the bottom row. The bottom row could represent, again, some fears or insecurities you have, or self-limiting beliefs or whatever within yourself. And in the bottom row, the reason for the bottom row's reading is the dog. Let's see, the 11th house, I believe, is Aquarius. It says Venus on it, which is kind of Libra and Taurus, but Aquarius, Libra, and Taurus can all have to do with, you know, we had this way of viewing life. We wanted these dreams to come into reality. We want justice. And sometimes we can indulge ourselves, living maybe more from our mind than our heart, maybe chasing after people, indulging people, because we want these things. We all want, like, friendship and relationship. But there could have been some people that you thought a dream was going to come into reality with. You thought it would be just and fair and people would act with character and integrity. And you could have found out that we can all be at our own emotional maturity level, but you could harness these energies still in a more high vibrational way. And you could have found out that some of the people in your life also did. Those are people you're probably moving forward with. And some other people maybe were kind of hiding. They harness them in a more shadowy way. And the dog can represent like a companion who is kind of excited and motivated to go on that journey with you. And then you kind of find out that maybe they were just indulging you because they wanted to be in a friendship or relationship, or it would be good for their ego or their image, but it really wasn't motivated. The dog could represent in high vibe like love and loyalty, and kind of finding out some people don't. There might be some people up here in your life right now. Here we have success and love, the ring. Then we have playmate reverse, and we have the King of Swords. Well, it's a thoughts card, but it has a man on it. So it makes me think of the King of Swords, but the King of Swords can be male or female. You could have people in your life that you would like to be in a relationship with, not kind of a more immature relationship like the playmate. And you could know some people, and some people also could be viewing you as someone they would like to be in a relationship. But everybody can have some fears because of situations that they've went through in their life. And it can be, though part of us could want to take action towards some people, we might not be taking that action, and other people might not be taking that action towards you, because everybody is maybe just kind of getting to know people. You know, the ring is Taurus energy, which can have to do with all these different institutions of the world, in our neighborhood, at our workplace, in organizations that we belong to, social activities, all those kind of things. And kind of just trying to get to know people to see, are they more immature? I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's more immature. I've already been in relationships with people who are more immature. Are they who they say they are? High vibe Taurus. Do they act with character and integrity? More balance. Both the King of Swords can talk about balance. The success and love kind of reminds me of the Two of Cups, which in high vibe can be about being balanced between your worldly nature and your hopeful, believing, loving nature. And also kind of Gemini energy of our free will, dualistic nature. Which one are people aligned with? Are they more still immature? Are they still more about themselves or ego or image or money? Are they someone who's more balanced, more aligned in their free will with having hope and faith and belief and love, act with more character and integrity than maybe some other people we've known in our life? And it could just be getting to know people. So that can be going on. But let's go look at these cards. We have the Man, which says Aries energy, and Aries energy is about the self, and the masculine cards can talk about us kind of being kind of a little more caught up in ourself, motivated and inspired by what we're motivated and inspired by, a little bit more operating more from our ego in shadow. Then we have the Child. Then we have the Clouds, which is Gemini, which I was kind of mentioning, the success and love. Kind of reminds me of Gemini, because Gemini does talk about our dualistic nature of our free will to either align with being more about ourself, which then could be kind of more immature, more codependent, wanting to be in more codependent relationships where you don't kind of have to grow up immature yourself, be more just and fair, act with character and integrity. And if it's romantic, it should be based on the truth. It should be from love. And some people just more want to be in a relationship, indulge themselves in it, so long as it works for them, so long as it works for you. Hey, that works. And, that's how some people are. And then the Fortune Teller. And I kind of view the Fortune Teller as maybe kind of what voice we listen to in our head, which again could be kind of in Gemini. Gemini, like the King of Swords, is air sign energy of the mind, and it can kind of be, what is our truth? Do we hide that we're more immature, more about ourselves, more codependent, more about the ego and the image and the status? And is that kind of the voice we listen to in our own head? Or do we listen to our more hopeful, believing, loving nature to work through those fears and insecurities, to get more balance within ourselves, stand up for ourselves and our truth, and kind of not compromise our truth where we kind of indulge poor behavior in ourselves or others? So we can all have some fear about listening. The Fortune Teller can also be kind of like the High Priestess card of listening to our intuition, because again, of some things that have happened in our past. We've all gotten in relationships before with people that we probably thought were more stable, more grounded, more just, more fair, and then we kind of found out they weren't. But that was us. The dog is kind of reminding me of the Fool card, about how we go on these journeys, and in the Fool card, they usually have a dog, with them, and it's kind of like, then we can kind of get scared of listening to our intuition. And that's when we could kind of be more kind of in an air sign energy of Gemini and Libra. We could be more in our self-protective nature. And I view the King of Swords can be like a person's self-protective nature. because things didn't work out the way we wanted to in the past. But the whole point of going on those journeys was we are going to be drawn and attracted to different people. And part of that is to help us get more clear about our truth. And Taurus can talk about kind of our truth and our philosophy of life, what we kind of think is just and fair of how to treat people in friendships and relationships, workplaces and marriages and things like that. And probably initially we could be attracted to people to a degree that could seem very different from us, because different is kind of exciting, right? And Aries is fire sign energy, and it can talk about being attractive or charming, and just inspires us to maybe live life different, think different, view life differently. So initially, I think we do kind of get drawn to people who can kind of be very quite different from us. And I think part of that reason is, to help us get more clear, get to the center. We live our life the way we live it, and say when you first get old enough, to be able to date people or whatever and hang out with people, it can be the people who are very different from you that you're kind of really drawn and attracted to. Fire sign energy could just be, I'm curious, in the child card. I'm curious. I'm not familiar with this. Not familiar with it. This I find interesting, So I think initially we can go for we might not realize it at the time. Other people might be like, that person seems very different than you. I'm surprised that you are, they could be more bold or brave or confident than you. And it's like, people are like, wow, this seems kind of like a mismatch. But you're on that journey to learn these lessons. And also, the younger we are, the more we kind of want to go indulge in. There's a lot of things in the world we want to go indulge in. The bottom row kind of just represents our more worldly nature. There's a lot of things that we're attracted to, inspired by. We got these lessons to learn. So we can go get in relationships with and come in contact with all these different people in the world. Some of the people were more inspired. I kind of view the child as their hopeful, believing, loving nature. Other people were more inspired to indulge their more immature nature, so it's kind of trying to get to know people and meet all these different people to kind of see the difference between people. And the clouds card in this also kind of reminds me of Pisces energy, that some people kind of create illusions about the truth of who they are and try to confuse us about the truth of who they are. And then it can be kind of challenging because we could be attracted to them, but they might do things that, again, we kind of think, wait a minute, is that just and fair? Are you acting with character and integrity? And, all those different experiences that we've went through, hopefully during going on that journeys that we've been on in our life, we could have had also a hard time of wanting to listen to our own intuition because we wanted to go do those things or indulge in those things. And we thought for sure those things, if it was people or things in the world that we indulged in, we were sure we knew what was going on and we were right. That's kind of us kind of being a little full of ourselves. And we maybe didn't listen to our intuition, even though our intuition could have been telling us, you're kind of caught up in the illusion of yourself and the world and other people, and you got some lessons to learn. So your kind of more high vibe nature is always there, hoping that as you go on that journey in life, that you do kind of work through getting more clear about what your truth is and your truth isn't, and hopefully that you get inspired to viewing this card also is kind of like Aquarius energy, and both Aquarius and Aries and Pisces all can have to do with our dreams that we have and what we want to manifest in the world. But are we balanced? Aquarius, like Libra, is air sign energy. Pisces is water sign energy. In our fire sign energy, we can be attracted to different things. This is more aligned with hope and faith and belief and love, but I like to do this, and I like these people, but I like those people, and I like to indulge in this, and some of those people don't like to indulge in that, and I like some of these things, and some of those people don't like those things. And, it's all trying to kind of get on the same page at the same time as people. And sometimes with some people, when we got in that relationship, we were not on the same page, but we didn't see the truth of it, and we could have wanted to stay in denial of the truth of it, and we could have kept trying to make things work. But if their truth is in their Capricorn nature within themselves, their truth is they could be more about themselves. They could be more about wanting to be in a more kind of codependent relationship where either they're the person indulged or they're willing to indulge someone else, just so long as it seems to manifest the things that they want to manifest. So if they want to be in a relationship, and that's kind of the driving goal for some people, just being in a relationship is like a driving factor because they could think that says something about their status or their image or their worth and value. So some people it's just to get in a relationship. Who wants to get in a relationship? And with this also being like Gemini and Pisces, I would find that emotionally fulfilling. I want to be in a relationship. I might be willing to compromise the truth. I might be willing to indulge someone just to look like I have justice in the world, or just to indulge myself in a relationship, to have a certain status or image in the world. And if I can't find someone to indulge me, maybe I can go find someone else to indulge. And eventually people can kind of figure that out about some of the people in their life, that you could feel they have some illusions about what it means to be in a relationship because these other factors are so important to them. And you could kind of view them as immature or codependent. And it is more about the illusion and what they look like in the world and how they think people view them or perceive them. And it just doesn't really seem to be about love. And so with some of those people, you listen to your intuition. And because of all the different life experiences you'd went through, and you didn't want to live a life of illusion. If this isn't motivated and inspired to act from love and act with character and integrity and be in it because of truth and love and be more just and fair, and high vibe energies being more independent, growing up and maturing yourself, healing, getting out of being more about yourself or more manipulated by the world anyway, and just kind of seeing who does seem to be more that way, who doesn't. And then as we kind of move forward in life, we could get out of a job, a friendship, a relationship where we feel some people are kind of shadowy or bossy or controlling or full of themselves or something. And then we could go get in a new friendship, relationship, or job. Taurus can represent all those things. Looking to find people who we think don't have more of these shadowy traits or characteristics. And I think when we do that, we're on the right path because we are being more motivated and inspired to love and believe in ourselves. We're aligned with in our Two of Cups nature within ourselves and our Gemini nature within ourselves to align with looking at life from a higher perspective, keeping things in perspective, continuing to have hope and faith and belief in our dreams. Maybe also getting out of more codependent relationships and learning to love ourselves and believe in ourselves and kind of give ourselves the things that we wish other people would have given us. And that makes us feel more grounded and stable and balanced within ourselves. And when we detach from people in our life who, if there's people we would like to be in a relationship with and say they're in a relationship with someone else, okay, I'm not going to I'm going to take action in my truth, and I'm going to keep investing in my truth. High vibe energy is accepting the truth, getting out of your ego. Can there be people that I would like to be in a relationship with, that I would like to get to know more, but either they're in a relationship well, I have to accept the truth of that. Love and believe in myself, kind of, that God has a plan for my life, and God knows ultimately what drives and motivates me, what I want to manifest. God knows what ultimately drives them, what they want to manifest. And believe that, kind of like God taking me on this adventure, and I'm going to love and believe in myself to go on that adventure. I am not going to give up on myself and indulge my more immature nature or more immature people in my life for these more worldly reasons. Because if any of us wanted to do that, there are people in the world that are just looking for people who is not going to keep acting with character and integrity, basically, and standing up for their truth? And who is going to go indulge some poor behavior in themselves? And hey, then those people would be more than willing to get in a relationship. Oh, did you kind of get caught up in your head and in your fear and in your insecurity? Sure, yeah, I'll get in a relationship with you. But it's like repeating an old pattern, similar to old relationships that you've been in. They really don't, it's just to be in it, to indulge in it, or for the status or the ego or the image of it. And it's not motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness. So you're not doing that. And as you keep rejecting harnessing with these cards not showing themselves, as you keep rejecting harnessing these energies in a shadowy way, and you keep being inspired to kind of love your own inner child nature that does have these dreams, you keep listening to your intuition and you keep moving forward. You have some of the same fears and insecurities just like other people. You just don't indulge in them. You offer truth and love to them. So kind of like your more immature, shadowy nature doesn't get in the driver's seat of your life. And while you could do that, there's other people in the world that could try to do that, and they might do it for a while, but then they really could more want to, think it's not working out the way they want, like they're not getting the justice, they're not whatever. So then they go get involved in something that they maybe shouldn't get involved in to begin with. So then there could be people in a relationship that they maybe never should have gotten into to begin with. And then what if they meet someone who seems to be more on the same page as them? They would like to get in a relationship with them, but, if they really felt like they were in a more mismatched relationship, they'd have to do this work within themselves, kind of get inspired within themselves to love and believe in themselves and not give up on their dreams. And, they'd have to speak the truth. And all of us in our more worldly nature, that can be difficult to do. And there can be no guarantee that if they get out of this relationship, say they're in, just because they might meet someone, doesn't mean that relationship's going to work out or that person even wants to be in a relationship with them, But if people know they're in a more mismatched relationship, I think the advice would be is to do this work, to love yourself, believe in yourself, that no matter what comes, would you be more happy not living a life of illusion and standing up for yourself and your truth, regardless of if another relationship works out or not? I know I don't want to stay in this because I feel like either I am having to indulge someone in their ego or prideful nature or more motivated by the world nature or more immature or more codependent, and that's not my truth. So come what may, I am going to love and believe in myself and stand up for my truth. Now, if you had been in a relationship that was more mismatched and you got out of it, or even before you even got out of it, you probably would have done some of this work within yourself to kind of work through some things that used to manipulate you. Being more codependent, being more immature, more caught up in the world, things you indulged in or whatever it could have been. And you did this work within yourself to kind of get out of your more immature nature to some degree. If you were in a relationship with someone, and you could have even done it because of the workplace or people that you were in friendship or relationship with, kind of like, if I don't work through this shit, quit some of this poor behavior in a way, or they maybe won't want to stay in a friendship or relationship or will fire me. So you could have done that work with some of the people in your life who you viewed as high vibrational. But then when you did that work, then some of those people didn't want to keep being in a relationship with you, because some people who kind of portray themselves as being more high vibe, more just, more fair, more stable, more grounded, more motivated, inspired by love, you do this work to kind of align with that truth within yourself so that you are in a more, feel like you're on the same page with those people, thinking if I don't do that, they won't want to be in a relationship. And then you find out some of those people then don't want to be in a relationship with you because you did do that work. Because there are some people who try to present themselves as being more high vibrational, and to a degree, they could be more high vibrational than other people you know. They could be more stable, more grounded, more mature. But if you were to heal and grow and mature yourself and get more balance within yourself, they could like a more imbalanced relationship. Like, well, I like kind of people who are more immature and more codependent. That by default can make them look like a more stable, grounded, mature person. And they can like that. But they can also like people being more immature and more codependent. And they don't mind that because they always kind of are like the more mature, stable, grounded seeming person in the relationship. And they never have to keep healing and growing and maturing themselves. And if you do this work within yourself over time, and you're kind of in this energy yourself in high vibe, well, that's when some of those people could decide, in order for it to keep moving forward, they're at a certain stage in life. You've gotten to like that stage in life. And for it to keep moving forward, everybody has to keep doing this work within themselves. And that might be the part that some people don't like. Like, I'm good here. I think living my life the way I live it, and the way I view life, and the type of relationship dynamics I like, I'm happy with it. And I think it's just and fair. And now if you've kind of changed, you're not the same person you were before. And then some people in your life could decide they don't want to be in a relationship with you or want to get out of a relationship with you. At the same time, there could be other people who see you have grown and healed or matured yourself, and they think you seem to be someone that they would like to be in a relationship. What other people don't like in a world of duality where we have free will choice and people think differently and feel differently, and there could have been people before who would have thought, gee, you seem, to be a type of person that, they could have just been attracted to you, but they could have felt you were more immature before. You could have been in a relationship before. Some of those people, you get out, you grow up and mature yourself, or you get out of those relationships. And then some of the people are like, oh, well, yeah, no, you're different now. Now I don't want to be in a relationship with you. And of course, there could always be people who only want to be in a relationship with someone else who's in a relationship. That kind of boosts their ego, And then there's other people who, it's just kind of different strokes for different folks. But some of you right now could be you're aligning with this energy within yourself. I would assume some of the people in your life, friends, family that you're working with, the people that you're more investing your time, energy, and effort into are other people who put in work and effort to maintain balance within themselves, more motivated and inspired by love and acting with character and integrity. You've all probably detached and cut out some people in your life who are more shadowy. And again, you could have gotten this can kind of represent a new beginning. You could have gotten in new jobs, friendships, relationships, met some other people when you weren't involved with this. And then some of those people you could be trying to get to know them. They could be trying to get to know you. Some of the people, if you could have always been in a relationship, And this was just outside influences, and everybody has to kind of work through if they're going to indulge your more immature nature or be bossy or controlling. That can also be like the King of Swords in a relationship. Or if they're going to keep being inspired to listen to their higher self, keep things in perspective, keep putting in work and effort from truth and love, and if we're working with other people who are on that same page, they do. And then there's other people who are like, this has gone as far as it can go. I don't like trying to maintain balance within myself, act with character and integrity. I was hiding that I really am more about myself and wanting to be indulged. Those people will probably turn their back to continuing to move forward and go indulge in their more shadowy nature, or try to control and manipulate people that they're in a friendship or relationship with. And as people kind of like are like, why is that person doing that? Why is that person acting that way? People can be loving and encouraging and supportive in their friendships and relationships, but eventually if they kind of see someone kind of keeps, for some reason, kind of more acting in a way that doesn't seem to be aligned with maybe how we thought or how they did, and they seem to be a little bit more bossy or controlling or wanting to be more about themselves or more indulged or something, eventually people could communicate with them, try to work things out. But if things don't change and feel like people are trying to confuse you about the truth, if your intuition tells you, I need to go, some people are going to go. And some people already did. And some of the people that are standing up for their truth right now, maintaining balance. So you're harnessing a more high vibe Libra, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer energy. And there could have been some people in your life who tried to present themselves as being those type of people, but you kind of found out they weren't. And you're not going to, if initially you had communicated with some people in your life, as time goes by, you've kind of spoken your truth. What more can we do? We speak our truth in love to people, and then kind of the ball's in their court. And if some of those people are not kind of taking action to invest in you or communicate with you, you keep doing this work to work through it, accept the truth of it, get out of your ego about it. And we can always have kind of more shadowy people in our life who did try to manipulate and control us, are people who try to manipulate and control people, and that's how they go about it. Like, I'm not going to work with you in a more just and fair way, and I'm going to do these immature things, and I think you won't love and believe in yourself, and I think you'll come and do it my way or indulge me, male or female. And some people are like, no, I'm not, been there, done that. I'm not going to do that, but you go ahead. And then those people act that way and behave that way, and they can see whatever way they're acting or behaving isn't a way you're acting and behaving, and you're not maybe chasing after them or indulging them, maintaining balance within yourself. Well, it does kind of illuminate the differences between people. And that's when some of the people who are maybe more immature or shadowy and manipulative could kind of see the truth that you aren't going to, if you did at one time, you're not going to anymore. And that could be where they realize you've kind of freed yourself and the manipulation tactics or whatever aren't going to work anymore. And your truth is different. How you want to live your life is different. How you feel is just and fair of how to treat people or whatever is different. And they're probably going to go do what they do, and you're going to go do what you do and move forward with the people in your life who do work together with you in that way. And again, some of those people are trying to get to know you just like you're trying to get to know them. If they've been hurt by people who kind of wore a false mask, they're being more careful about who they get in friendship and relationship with, because even though they could be attracted to you, even though they could like you, even though you could like them, be attracted to them, it's this process of, so long as people are willing to work together to get to know each other, and it's just wanting to get more clear about the truth of kind of what drives and motivates people. So as you are moving forward, some of the more shadowy people in your life that you've probably already distanced yourself from, they can see you doing this. They could think that you look very stable and grounded and abundant in some ways and loving, but they might wonder if you're kind of just creating an illusion, because that's kind of more what shadowy people do. And you might not be taking action towards, for some of you, you're not taking action to get in a relationship with them or other people. And the whole thing is because you're looking for people who are the right people, not just to get in a relationship with someone. And so what they don't realize about you is that as you're going through this process, you're taking this time to make sure you don't harness these in a more worldly, shadowy way, or you'd repeat an old pattern, and to keep harnessing them in a more high vibrational way. What are they? The Moon card, which is Pisces and Cancer, about listening to your intuition. You might be smart, you might be bright, all those good things, like we like to think that we are. But your more worldly, egoic nature can tempt you in your more pride, ego, lust, greed, codependency. So you're not willing to let that more manipulate you and get you more caught up in the illusion because of these things of the world that you want to manifest. You are listening to your intuition, maintaining balance within yourself, standing up for your more loving nature. I don't want to get myself in situations with people more because I want those things, and yes, I could be attracted to them and all that, but I need to maintain balance within myself. You could be a very loving person, but you need to offset our loving nature. Our emotional nature is kind of offset on the zodiac sign by the earth sign. So Capricorn and Cancer on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel, Taurus and Scorpio on opposite sides, Virgo and Pisces on opposite sides. And it's like, if I'm a very loving person, I can get caught up in the illusion that everyone's motivated and inspired by love, but I've already found out that's not the truth. So I need to maintain balance, staying grounded between my emotional nature and these things of the world that I want, and not let my loving nature more get in the driver's seat, make sure I stay grounded and listen to my intuition and get to know people. And this card that's not showing itself is also the reason why the top row's reading came out. What is it? Oh, the child card, kind of like the child here. Which can be that you have that hopeful, believing, loving nature. And you know that there's people in the world who want to take advantage of that. And they, of course, think that's just and fair. And they think because you are loving, you should indulge them. That's like who you are. And I'm not. But because you like me or attracted to me or want to be in a relationship, and I could like you and be attracted to you, you should be loving and let me be more about me and more kind of self-indulgent or immature. And you're like, no. Because my hopeful, believing, loving nature deserves better than that. And it deserves to get justice, to be in a relationship with other people who are more balanced within themselves, and that is their truth, being motivated and inspired to be in a relationship because of love. And the people in your life who you feel like you've come to realize that they do create these illusions about the truth of who they are, but they really are more immature or codependent or just more about themselves or more about the ego and the image of it, you've cut those people out and you don't want to get in a relationship with someone else like that again. So, and that's what some of the people in your life, some people in your life who did try to manipulate and control you, not working together with you, got out of a relationship with you, were hurtful or unkind in some way, they could still think that you still are confused about the truth of who they are, but you're not. If you spoke your truth in love and those people aren't working together with you in truth and love, for some, it's like, oh, you meet someone or you reach out to someone and you find out they're in a relationship. Well, okay. Well, that's a no-go then, I'm not going to keep, and some people are like hoping, well, I want to be in this relationship maybe until it doesn't work out, and I'm hoping you'll just stay there. It's like, no, you know, this either is your truth or it's not your truth. You're either creating an illusion with someone else, or you create an illusion with everyone, or this isn't your truth, or that's not your truth, and you're not willing to speak the truth. But either way, if you're in a relationship with someone else, well, then kind of that dream of giving birth to something new in a relationship, like a new beginning or having a new beginning, I accept the truth that that's not going to happen. And I'm not going to keep indulging in it. I accept the truth of it. And I want the justice I deserve. And the only way I can get that justice is to kind of keep listening to love and intuition to guide me, having that hopeful, believing spirit, taking action and investing in people who are more aligned with my truth and are available to be in a relationship and who are, to some degree, working together with me, or I know them and they're not in a relationship with someone. And some people might not realize that the reason why you're kind of, that you feel that way. Some people think, oh no, I'm sure they'll wait, or oh no, I'm sure they'll come back. And it's like, no, if you've already shown me your truth, I accept your truth, and I'm going to get out of my ego about it, accept the truth of it, and then I'm going to listen to my intuition about the people who I think maybe I could have that kind of new beginning with. And of course, some of the people who aren't in your life anymore don't know that there's other people that you view as someone that maybe you could have a new beginning with. And while you're doing this work within yourself and whatever friendships and relationships or job that you're in, you could be working on manifesting this new beginning. And again, some of the shadowy people in your life, they go do things to try to create an illusion that they're really manifesting something new. But some of those people refuse to heal or grow or mature themselves. They get in a new friendship, a new relationship, a new job, but they're the exact same person they were in the last one, because instead of closing out cycles and learning lessons in life and moving forward in life authentically, more healed, grown, and mature than they were before, they're the same person in the next relationship. So it's like trying to give birth to something new, but it's going to be the same old thing in a way because they haven't changed. You can only give birth to kind of something new if everybody is willing to work through some things that used to manipulate them, or their more immature nature, defensive nature, prideful nature, or whatever, to be like a different person. Otherwise, they're going to keep manifesting the same thing over and over because that's still their truth. And so you're kind of looking for people who have kind of grown and matured themselves. Those are the people, because you've done that within yourself, you're not the same person you used to be. And again, some people got in a relationship with you, would have liked to have gotten in a relationship with you. Other people still could, but they want you to be like the same old person you were at whatever age or emotional maturity or way of living life or viewing life or heartbreak or whatever that you could have been at what other stage of life you could have been. And it's like, that's not the truth of who I am anymore. And some of those people could have a hard time accepting the truth of it. And they could keep thinking, oh no, I'm sure they'll act this way. I'm sure they'll do this. I'm sure they'll do that. I'm sure they'll come back. And it's like, that's not who I am anymore. If I tried to work together with you in truth and love to bring justice to a situation, and you weren't willing to work together with me in that way, then I let go of the illusion that we could give birth to something new, because both people have to be willing to kind of, the top row can be about being more independent from an old version of yourself. So that means you have to detach from like some old habits, patterns, vices, pain, heartbreak, stubbornness, ego, defensiveness, whatever. But they don't want to do that. So you can't give birth to something new with someone else who's unwilling to shed an old layer of themselves to give birth to a new way of looking at life. Give up some of those things that they want to hold on to and indulge, right? It's like, well, you go keep indulging that and find other people who want to indulge in that. If that's your truth, that's your truth. I wish you peace and love. I'm moving on. That's not my truth. I don't want to keep giving birth to that over and over again. I want to give birth to something new. So what is coming up for the people who harness a more high vibrational Capricorn energy that they might not see coming? The Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and the reason is because of the Three of Pentacles. So I view the Three of Pentacles as Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the Devil. All of us are more repeating old patterns. The Devil card can be like, things are dead and stagnant. Love gives birth to new things. High vibe Capricorn frees themselves from the Devil. Old habits, patterns, vices, ways of living life and viewing life that was a phase of life, but then you kind of grow and heal and mature yourself, and you keep growing and maturing yourself. You keep shedding old versions of yourself. You freed yourself, and because of that, I view the Queen of Pentacles as Taurus energy. You had a way of living life and viewing life that you used to invest in, but that's not the same philosophy of life that you have anymore. And when we change our Taurus philosophy of life, Taurus is like the Supreme Court in our head of, it kind of dictates the decisions that we make in our life, because just where we're at in life, kind of the lessons that we've learned or not learned. And your Taurus philosophy of life has changed. And that can be, we all could have been more inspired and caught up in the world at one time. But in our fire sign nature, we can get more inspired over time to be less manipulated by those things of the world and be more inspired by love and justice and fairness and standing up for ourselves, less codependent, less immature. And high vibe Taurus is kind of like being a spiritual leader in the world and kind of walking the talk, and not more about conforming to the world, which is a more shadowy Taurus relationship or way of living life, and also not about indulging people. Truth and love should be that you work together with people cooperatively in a just and fair and loving way with character and integrity. But we all could have had not such good examples about that growing up in our life. And of course, when we're young, we can certainly indulge people in poor behavior, friendships, or relationships because we want to be in those friendships and relationships. But when we realize what we're having, that we're kind of maybe having to sacrifice truth and love and justice and fairness, eventually people get to be, I'm not willing to sacrifice those things anymore. At one time, I maybe was to some degree where it wasn't quite just and fair. People didn't act with character and integrity. And I'm not willing to do that anymore. You know, I have my truth. And if that's not other people's truth and they want to be in relationships for some of these other reasons, or looking at life from a certain perspective, or more caught up in chasing each other or indulging each other or being in a relationship to be in a relationship, or the status or the ego or the image or the things they want to go indulge in to make themselves happy, then go do that. Enjoy. But that's not my truth anymore. Out of maybe love for myself. And I'm going to take action in my truth, stand up for myself, treat other people in the way I like to be treated, in a just and fair way, acting with character and integrity from love, to meet the people who are more aligned with that truth. And for some of the people that you might like, or people who could like you, some of those people you can't really be in a relationship maybe because they are in a position, or you are in a position of authority with them. And so because of that, you maybe can't get in a more involved relationship, but you can get to know each other and know more about each other and work together. Because the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only marrieds to the deck. That there could be people that you could be, again, like attracted to, but no, you know, I'm their boss, I'm their supervisor, they're my boss, they're my supervisor. I could be hiding that I like them and I'd like to be in a more involved relationship, but, you know, as long as this is the case of the situation, that is a perfect opportunity for me just to get to know them more. You know, and because of that situation, we can't get in a more involved relationship. But, you know, and again, some people are people that we could know. Again, it could be adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, coworker, or whoever, that isn't someone we want to be in a more romantic relationship with, but they could be people that we could be helping just to help them free themselves from things that manipulate them, but seeing the truth of it. I can be a loving and encouraging person to people in their life, but I'm not going to get in a more involved relationship with any of them if they haven't freed themselves from any things that manipulate them. But I can work together with them, and I can work together with all sorts of people that have completely different ways that I might not even know of how they live their life outside of however I know them. But, you know, that's kind of a funny thing about it, is that other people could know our truth, and we can get along with them fine and view them maybe even a certain way, but they know their truth, and they could know their truth is not the same as yours. And so even if there's people at work or in our community that we've tried to work with, you know, again, all we can do is walk our talk, live our truth, not get up in our ego about it. We don't know what's all going on in other people's lives. Some of them are just a little more defensive because of things they've went through or things they're dealing with. And, you know, if they free themselves from it and want to work together in a more just and fair way, great. If not, you're okay either way, because you're nurturing and loving yourself, giving yourself what you wish other people would have given you. Trusting that the divine is working with you to help you manifest what you want to manifest. And I just think you'll free yourself from people who their philosophy of life, of how they think is just and fair, kind of how to treat people, you'll be detaching yourself more from those people and working with people who are more on the same page as you. What's coming up for people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy that they might not see coming? Oh, and there's other people who are going to want to work together with you. Again, it might be more, for some, it might be more in a professional setting, a workplace setting, organizations, community. And, that's all part of your dream. If there's not people in your environment for you to work with in a more romantic relationship, well, then I'm going to love investing in the things that are also part of my dream. Stability, just and fair people, loving people. I'm going to go invest in those things. Oops, got an alarm on my phone. I'm not going to get so caught up on focused on an aspect of my dream, right? What's coming up for the worldly shadowy people they don't see coming? A card not showing itself because of the Nine of Swords. So the Nine of Swords is Gemini energy. I think more worldly shadowy people are always up in their head because instead of listening to their intuition, it's always trying to like strategize. And they just don't think the same way as other people. They are so much maybe kind of disconnected from being more balanced within themselves and connected in with their emotions. Could think relationships are more just about, sex. That other people want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship, which they can't understand. I think no matter who they're in a relationship with at any given time, they're stressed out because they don't do this work within themselves to free themselves to ever get more balance within themselves. The things that tip them out of balance, their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, their defensiveness, their immaturity, lust, greed, other people, it always keeps them tipped out of balance. And they can get people to maybe hire them for a job, get in friendship or relationship with them. But it's never, all those things still always manipulate them. Always trying to strategize, like outwit, outplay, outsmart. Trying to cheat the justice system. They don't really want to be more just or fair. They really don't want to temper their ego nature. They really don't want to work together with people more cooperatively because they're more about it being about them or them being indulged or more for the status and the ego and image of it. And they're always afraid that the people that they work with in friendship or relationship with, that the other people are going to be inspired to kind of love and believe in themselves to get the justice they deserve because shadowy people want to be indulged in a relationship in some way. I want to be immature. I want to be bossy and controlling. I want to be intimidating. I want to be hurtful or unkind. And they keep hoping that, they can get people in relationship with them. But then they're always fearful that those people are one day going to love and believe in themselves enough to stand up for themselves and no longer willing to stay in denial of the truth about these people. And they've always got more high vibrational, some people in their life, friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, whoever, that eventually do work through it. They have a hard time. Here we have the Nine of Swords to close out a cycle. There's 10 in the cycle. And then we learn the lesson we were meant to learn. And we free ourselves from that cycle or a way of living life or viewing life. And the fact is, other people do that. It's just that some of the more worldly, shadowy people never do that. What's the card not showing itself? The King of Pentacles. Or no, the Six of Pentacles, Taurus energy. They really don't want to do equal give and take. It's like a more transactional relationship. I want to be in the relationship. I like the relationship. You like the relationship. This looks good for our status, our ego, our image. You like me. I like you. If that's the case, we should stay in it. Doesn't that make logical, practical sense? But they really don't want to do more equal give and take. It's more transactional. Or they really don't want to move the relationship forward in the way people were expecting they were going to move the relationship forward. Some people did want to get married, bring justice to the situation. Well, if you love me and I love you, and, why aren't we bringing justice to the situation? Well, shadowy Capricorn can be that people are a little selfish and a little greedy. And again, I want to be in it and I can enjoy being in it. I just don't want to have to open up. I don't want to have to give of myself. I don't want to maybe do exchange of financial resources. And, depending on what people have gone through in their life, if everybody's kind of on the same page, and if we feel like, people could do, like my nephew did a commitment ceremony in Las Vegas. It's like making a commitment in front of people. The whole family was there, like a wedding, but just not getting the legal complications of it, because then you kind of get the government involved and that all costs money to get out. Of course, people could do a prenup, and then the prenup could be in place of but people can argue about that for years. It's just that people are willing to be more truthful and honest. And if you think they're being truthful and honest, is it because of fears or insecurities, or is it, are they just and fair and act with character and integrity and very giving and nurturing and work cooperatively, but just because of some life experiences don't want to do a legal commitment? Well, I guess, again, if people are truthful and honest and they're acting with character and integrity, you feel, and if your intuition tells you, and, you're, willing to go on the adventure, then so long as everybody keeps acting that way, you could stay in the relationship. As long as people are willing to keep healing and growing and maturing themselves. As long as people aren't being more immature or whatever, But the shadowy people definitely don't want to do equal give and take. They're more about themselves. And it can all be more about, well, who has more status, who has more image, who's more codependent, who's more willing to indulge me, or I will indulge someone else if they have those things of the world that I want. And if people aren't in a relationship because of truth and love, why are they in it? If that's like the missing truth, it's not love. It's more for all these other reasons. Well, then I think everybody can be fearful, because if they both know that's not the truth of why they're in it for some other reason. Well, if it's not love, well, who has more status, more image, more money, more willing to indulge me, more that I'm more able to manipulate, requires less of me, where I don't have to be as just and fair, act with character and integrity? Who's more willing to indulge me? And I think if they've had high vibe people in their life who were more just and fair, acted in truth and love and character and integrity, and they're like, no, I reject that, because you want me to be like that, and that's not my truth, they're going to find themselves more surrounded by people who are more like them. And then some of the very people who could have said, no, I don't want to get married. No, I don't want to do equal give and take. No, I don't want to have to detach from my more immature ways of being. They might get themselves in relationships, and then with those people, either because the sass or the ego or the image, they would really like those people to exchange resources with them, but those people won't. And those people are happy just indulging in the relationship. So shadowy people are always stressed out that other people listen to their intuition, that they love and believe in themselves, because those people move on from them. And then it's always wondering, who can I find who doesn't know the truth about me, who maybe hasn't learned to listen to their intuition or been in a relationship with someone like me, that I can go get in a relationship with, to basically kind of go indulge myself in a relationship with. And if they get high vibe people, they'll leave. If they get in relationships with other people, they might end up staying in a more codependent relationship, maybe where there's not much stability or maturity or equal give and take, but because they're just in more codependent energy, and someone indulges them to a degree, or, whatever it is that they think makes it worthwhile. But while they're doing that, other people are growing up and maturing themselves, and they had the potential to do that, and some of them aren't doing that, and they just keep indulging themselves, being more about themselves, caught up in their head, in their fear about listening to their intuition and trusting and believing or having confidence in themselves or in others or in love. And it just keeps happening over. And while they're doing that, other people get in more stable, grounded, authentic, mature, loving relationships. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.